Hi students, welcome to Year 9 Science, and this is Unit 1 on atoms and stuff. We're going to be looking in this first video at particles. So in this first video we're just going to introduce the idea of matter as particles and look specifically at atoms, but we will look at some other types of particles that we can also recognize. So the first thing we need to do is to set the context, and this is great. This is a concept cartoon which was first developed in the UK actually, and these are great for giving you just a little bit of an opportunity to think about what it is that you already know about particle theory and particles in general. So here we have a situation where there's some ice in a glass of liquid, and there seems to be some droplets that are forming on the outside of the glass. And you can see there's a couple of different ideas here. You may agree with one of these ideas, you may not agree with any of them. In fact, you may even have an idea of your own. But I'm going to give you just a moment. You can stop the video, and I want you to think about which of these you agree with, and more importantly, why. So how did you go? Well, of course, the most important thing is that we are talking about particle theory. So whichever of these ideas you were thinking about, you need to make sure that particle theory helps you to explain, or at least link between what you thought was going on and what you actually observed to be going on. This is the important thing about theories. A theory is an explanation. It helps us to look at what we see, to describe what it is that we see in science, and then to hone in specifically on why we think it is that that has happened. And this is where theories like particle theory can really help. Now we're going to go into this whole idea of particles a little bit later, and it's certainly worth discussing that example from the concept cartoon in a little bit more detail. But for now, what we want to do is just be really clear about the different type of particles that there are. The fact that we're looking at a chemistry topic that has the name atoms and stuff tells you that we're going to be focusing primarily on atoms in this particular topic. But atoms aren't the only types of particles. In fact, we can split particles up into two main groups on the basis of their charge. Some particles are uncharged and some are charged. Atoms are an example of uncharged particles, and atoms are quite unique. And in fact, we link atoms to the study of elements, and we will also be looking at elements in a little bit of detail in this topic. Atoms can join together to form molecules. So this is two or more atoms. But when we talk about oxygen, the oxygen that's in the atmosphere, oxygen is a diatomic molecule. O2. We can still talk about particles of oxygen, but now we're not really talking about particles of oxygen atoms. We're talking about particles of oxygen molecules, O2 molecules. Now, like atoms and molecules, we can also have a slight change that occurs to our atom to turn it into a charged particle. Cations are names given to positively charged particles, and anions to negatively charged particles. And so what you can see is that an atom that has become charged, usually this happens through the gaining or losing of electrons, and we will look at that process as well a little bit later. But the gaining or losing of electrons creates what is called an ion. Now, atoms are neutral, they don't have a charge, so when an atom gains some sort of a charge, either a positive or negative charge, we don't call it an atom, we call it an ion. So this is just a little bit of introductory terminology for you as we start this topic. Thanks for watching.